if they will going to attend the online class or not. Okay. So before we start, please open your camera for our picture taking first. Our picture taking will be at the beginning and at the end of our class online. Okay. Please open your cameras for our picture taking. Everybody, open your cameras for our picture taking. How about the others? Open your cameras for our picture taking for the others. Do I need to mention your name? Okay. Look at your cameras now. Please look at your cameras now. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait lang. May nagbubukas pa. May pumapasok pa eh. Please open your cameras. Pakilagay po yung camera sa mukha. Kasi yun po yung tinitignan ni Dean Alba. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you. So today, we will discuss a new lesson. And then, after I discuss the new lesson, most probably quiz on face-to-face on Wednesday. Okay? So we are just going to, you're just going to watch the video that I present later. But before that, let's have a prayer first.
Heavenly Lord God, thank you for this new day. We honor your holy name. As we continue to study
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord as we say in this prayer. Narinig niyo po? Narinig niyo po ba yung video? Sige po, salamat. Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord as we say in this prayer.
Heavenly Lord God, thank you for this new day. We honor your holy name. As we continue to study and learn new things, we thank you, Lord, for the technological advancements that enable us to complete our education the new normal way. May you bless us with quick thinking and a keen mind to learn today, so that we may be worthy in our studies. Bless us with knowledge, wisdom, and a heart that will obey your commands. We also ask you to bless our parents. May you abundantly bless and prosper everyone in our houses, so that we can utilize them not just in our everyday lives, but also in our service to your holy name. Assist our teachers in developing self-assurance in their profession. Give them the motivation and inspiration they need to stand by their students during this difficult time of crisis. Protect their health, both physically and psychologically, Lord. Encourage them to use their unique skills and abilities to discover innovative methods to reach out to students. Captivate our attention, Lord, when it is difficult to perceive the good. When we are depressed and miss school, our teachers, our usual routine, as well as our teammates and coaches, lift our spirits. God, sustain us despite our very genuine fear of what is and will happen in our planet. Remind us that we are not alone, even when we feel lonely. Assist us in seeing the positive in each day. Help us in finding reasons to celebrate and ways to be joyful. Even in these incredibly dark and hard times, sprinkle our lives with moments of lightheartedness. We also pray for a blessing in our lives and livelihoods of our school board members and employees. May our school leaders be gifted with knowledge and energy to empower their workers through this tough time. We pray that communication lines among our educational system's employees stay open. Keep them socially linked and work together for the better welfare of all students. Help us, Lord, to be kept encouraged and reminded that seemingly impossible conditions may be the fuel for huge ambition to come true. This we ask in Jesus' name, through the intercession of Mary, our ordinary resource. Amen.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. So today, Let's have our new lesson that talks about varieties of spoken and written language. And what's that for? And what's that for? When we say varieties of spoken and written language, it tells us about the spoken mode is often associated with everyday registers, while the written mode is strongly associated with academic registers. However, this is not always true. For example, in everyday communication, face to face conversations are usually implemented by text messaging. In academic context, forms of oral communication are used along with written communication. Significantly, both everyday and academic communications are characterized by multimodality of the use of multiple modes of communication, including spoken, written, and images, music, videos, and gestures. That's why varieties of spoken and registers of spoken and written language tells us there are first four domains include language variation that reflect local usage done in one local language or in a multi-local language, like in the Philippines. In the Philippines, we have 17 regions. In the different regions that we have also different dialects. That is also the same of what we are talking now, the varieties of spoken language. Okay? Please watch this because from this video will be your quiz on Wednesday. Okay? Listen first.
Video, we will be discussing the varieties and registers of spoken and written language, especially in the English language. So, for us to be able to be an effective communicator, let us be aware of that there are varieties and registers, different varieties and registers of the English language, spoken and written. The goal for this video is for you to determine the varieties and registers of spoken and written English language for effective communications. Let us first discuss the language register. So, what is language register? Language register is defined as the appropriateness of the level and style of speaking and writing. So the appropriateness of the level and style of speaking and writing. It guides a speaker or writer in the use of vocabulary, structure, and grammar. So at least there are three language Okay, informal is otherwise called as casual or intimate.
It is recommended when writing, speaking to friends and familiar persons. So if your audience are your friends and familiar person, you'll use an informal register. So know your audience when you write, or your audience of your message is either spoken or written. The third one is neutral. Neutral is objective, more on facts ang message. Okay, so remember this video is about varieties and registers of spoken and written language. We just discussed first the language registers. After this, we'll be discussing the varieties. Okay, so the first language register, common language register, is formal register. From the word formal, it is a type of speaking or writing appropriate for formal speeches like public speeches, or when you're writing articles, studies, technical reports, announcements like government announcement, public announcements, business letters, and emails for business purposes. So you use a formal register. There are a number of rules that govern the use of formal language register, and these are as follows. So when you use formal register, there are rules, and these are the rules. Number one, use the third person. When you say third person, dili first person, dili second person. When we say first person, we say I went to the market. Let's say second person, she went to the market. Third person would be neither first or second person. Say third person, it's the common noun, like the undersigned instead of I, the reporter instead of he or she. So let's use third person. Review when you write something in formal register. Review your English 101. Okay. Number two, second rule for when you use formal register is avoid contractions. So when you say contraction, it's a word made by shortening and combining two words. So use would not instead of wouldn't, won't, cannot instead of can't. So avoid contractions. Dili nimo i-shorten ang word. So contractions are, these are the common contractions in English: aren't, or are not, can't for cannot. So do not use contractions. Contractions are the one with apostrophe. But note that apostrophes are used to show possession, like in Jake's law office. That's not a contraction. It's not a contraction. So know what are contractions. And also apostrophe can be used to indicate a plural symbol or numbers. Example, BMWs, sevens, or etc. So know what is contractions and avoid using contractions. The next rule, number three, is spell out numbers below 100. So when writing, you have to spell out the numbers from 1 to 100. Beyond 100, or below 100. So 100 numbers now 100, but or 100 you write it down. But below 100 you should spell that out. Okay, so that's when you're writing in a formal register. Fourth, use formal words rather than slang and cliches. So example, formal words. When you're asked to, or you are going to write something about how nice the place is, you're not going to use dope. The place was so dope, because dope is an informal word. So know what are the slang and cliches. Review what are the slang examples of slang and cliches, and avoid that. Use formal words. And 5 is spell out acronyms. When you say acronyms like BSMT, that's an acronym of Bachelor of Science in Marine Technology. So spell out acronyms. Acronyms may be used in formal speaking and writing, but you have to spell it out first and put the acronym in parentheses. So for example, if you're writing about your course, BSMT, you first spell it out and then write the acronym enclosed in a parenthesis, and then in the following sentences you can use the acronym already, because the reader knows that BSMT stands for Bachelors of Science in Marine Technology, or BSMARE. So spell it out first, and then the following sentences you can use the acronym. Okay, example, non-government organization or NGO. And thereafter, you may use the acronym in the other parts of your paragraph, the NGO. Okay, number 6, use complete sentences in your write-up or speech. So when you say complete sentence, you have the subject, noun, or you have the subject verb agreement. It's a complete sentence. So do not use or avoid the use of phrases and clauses or incomplete sentences. It should be a complete sentence when you write something or when you talk in a formal register. Okay, the use of, and then seventh rule is use an active rather than passive sentences. So it's preferred to use active rather than passive sentences. I will not further explain this because I assume that you've already discussed this in your previous years in the school, your English 101. The subject is about purposive communication, not English grammar. But yes, I will not explain it. I'll assume that you already know it. But an example is for your active sentences is use a singer. A singer entertained the guests instead of the guests were entertained by the singer. So when you say active, the subject in the sentence, the first one is the subject and then the verb and then the object. In passive sentences, the guests were entertained by the object. It's reversed. Object, verb, subject. So that's how you know if it's an active or a passive sentence. So when you use a formal register, use an active sentence. Okay, number 8. Simple sentences rather than compound and complex sentences would help make your write-up speech shorter and easier to understand. So simple sentences with a subject, verb, object sentence. The dili complex. Like easier to understand, the better. Okay, number 9. Use conjunctions. What are conjunctions? Conjunctions such as however, nevertheless, similarly, on the other hand, could help um, relate it or show contrasts in the ideas in your sentences. So to indicate transitions or imply continuity or cause and effect relationship in ideas or of your sentences, then use conjunctions. So, diba, you can read formal registers articles, like academic articles. This is very common. No? And it also sounds, you'll know, it sounds formal. However, this is what happened. So use conjunctions to indicate transitions or to imply continuity or cause and effect relationship in the ideas of your sentences. Informal language registers. So of course, it is the opposite of your formal. So formal, your audience are the public, businesses, and all that. So you'll know. Informal language, again, your audience are your family members or familiar to you, close to you, your friends. So in informal language register, so again, it's used for informal and friendly letters, speeches, or for acquaintances, friends, and family members, thus written in an informal style. This is the type of writing you adapt for short messaging system like your text messages, friendly letters, personal emails, your diaries. No, your diaries are your own write-up. It's not, the audience is yourself. So, dili na kay kamo matter ang grammar and structure, right? In your formal register, the grammar, the structure should be well put together. But your informal, as long as it can be understood, there's no rule. Okay, your blogs. Informal writing is the opposite of formal letters, hence does not require formal and strict rules to follow. Here, you may use figure of speech, personal pronouns, symbols, acronyms, slangs, and even incomplete sentences, phrases, and clauses. So it's not strict. There's no rules to abide as long as you use, of course, proper grammar, because if you use proper grammar, then you can easily be understood. No? Especially the simple use of past tense, the personal pronouns, and all that. So that's informal language register. And the third common language register is the neutral language register. So it's neither formal nor informal, thus applicable for non-emotional and factual themes. So non-emotional, because this is just like straight ahead in between your formal and informal. This style of writing or speaking is usually seen in articles, technical reports, and magazine reviews. So neutral. There's no sides of formality or informality. It's just factual, objective relaying of message. So that's neutral language register. So those are the three language registers. Very easy, very simple to remember and understand. Formal for if your audience are formal audiences, public announcements, formal speeches, um, what do you call this? For businesses. Informal, your audience are your family, your friends, so or anyone that is like just of your level. So like you're blogging, it's just informal. It's not for academic purposes. Neutral, that's neither formal or informal. So it's in between. So these are mostly can be seen in magazine reviews. So it's just a neutral tone. So now we go to varieties of language. When we say variety, it means that there's different kinds. So na variety, na ay laing klase-klase of language. It's not just in English that has a lot of varieties, because even our Filipino language has a lot of variety, daghang klase-klase. Even Bisaya, lahi ang Bisaya sa Negros, lahi ang Bisaya sa Cebu, sa Bohol, sa Siquijor, and all that. Bisaya, but there's naay differences. The same with the English language. So there are different kinds of English language used around the world. The reason for this is historical, because England used English as its native language for more than 1,000 years. And since they are conquerors, so they've disseminated their language as well as their culture. So eventually, the use of English spread in many parts of the globe, like Canada, USA, Australia, because of migration. Apart from conquering the land, nowadays it's because of migration, employment, and economic reasons. So since language is dynamic and culture bound, the differences in culture eventually resulted in changes in the original English. So like for example, in Australia, the English there is it's still English, but it there are words and phrases and cliches and slangs that they only understand because language is dynamic and culture bound. It The differences in culture eventually resulted in changes in the original English. American English and Australian English. There is also Asian English like Philippine English, Singaporean English, Chinese English, or what they call Chinglish. So these varieties of English differs. Lahi-lahi. They are all English, but there are differences. That's how amazing language is. The English language is like humans, or any kinds of language actually. They're like humans. We all are humans, yet we are all different. Ako, ikaw, and all those from different countries, we are all humans. But we are also different. The same with the English language. They're all the same, English, but there are differences. When we say varieties, kalahi-lahi, na differences. So for example, in English, the American English for color, spelling in American English for color is this. And in British, you have the U. No, but it is the same. Also the same as kanang favorite or favorite with a U. So that's the difference in spelling. Also, there's a difference in grammar. In British English, they would say, "Have you eaten all those fruits?" But in American English, they would ask you the same purpose, but different use of words. Like, did you eat all those fruits? So you can see the difference, right? That is due to the fact that British English at times use the present perfect tense of the verb, whereas American English would prefer using the past simple tense. Did you eat? Okay, have you eaten is present perfect tense. Okay, So they differ in grammar. So these are just examples, but there are many examples, and it would take us hours or days to cover all of that. So I'm just giving you an example for you to be aware that again, there are differences in the English language. There are varieties of English. Another example, when tagging questions, when you tag someone, for tag questions, the following varieties were observed between British and American English. So for British English, I'll upload these pictures in my Facebook, will I? In American, I'll upload these pictures in my Facebook, right? So when you're asking for, this one is murag nangutan na o confirm if iha bang i-upload ang pictures. So for British English, lahi ang ilahang gamit. Okay, but the same purpose. This is another example for British English. Have you eaten all those Happy Bee fried chicken? American English. Did you eat all those Happy Bee fried chicken? British English. Have you ever watched the TV series Provincia? Did you ever watch the TV series in Provincia? So that's one of the common examples of their differences, but you can understand it's just the same, right? Okay. Another differences is the use of prepositions. So in British English, the time is 15 minutes past 5. In American English, the time is 15 minutes after 5. The same connotations, different use of prepositions. For adverbs, the following varieties in informal speech between British and American English have been noted as well. So in American English, cases in the use of adverbs without the ly ending. So in American English, they don't have the ly ending. So they would say, Tagaytay was real good last February, real cold last February. But in British English, Tagaytay was really cold last February. So here in the Philippines, we commonly use the American English, but magsagol pud ta, no? Magsagol pud ta na po tayo British English. Okay, another differences that can be seen is in the meanings or semantic. So different spellings or word, but the same meaning. For example, in American English, cab means, in British, it's taxi. In American English, it's elevator. In British English, it's lift. So I'll be showing, there are different examples for that. Okay, so it's shown in the box. In addition, noted were differences in meaning in the use of the word quiet. In American English, the term quiet is used as an intensifier. So, like, he was upset a while ago. That was all right, but now he's quite upset, so we have to leave. In British English, quiet is used to lessen the intensity of the term. So, example, he was upset a while ago, so I was thinking of leaving. Now I feel quite upset, but I think it's all right to stay. So that's the difference. Like, not the same meaning, but the same word, but different meaning. So it the English variety of English also differs in meaning, and this is just an example. So um, when you are talking in a multicultural setting, know the varieties of language. It may differ from your what you know is correct. So again, perspectives, and again, to prevent argument on who's right, respect first and understand. Understanding and respect comes in handy when talking in a multicultural setting.
Okay, as you watch the video about the varieties of and the registers of spoken and written language, I hope that you take a screenshot about it because that will be our your the viewer for the lessons a lesson that we were gonna have plus the quiz that we were gonna have on Wednesday. Okay, so there are different variations that reflect on local usage. Okay, so for everyday living of us in this world, we have different languages. Okay, for you that you must determine and you must know what is that particular language that you must use so that you may able to understand that in this world we are not only talking of English but also in different ways. Okay, like uh like in today's era we are we are using different tools, different gadgets to talk to other people. And that is what we must understand, that we must understand so that we may know what is the struggle or challenges of of us while we are using these languages. Like for example, if you are born if you are born in the if you are born in Metro Manila and you went to the province, of course you don't have any idea of what is the dialect in that province, or when you go to other country you do not have any idea of what is the language of that particular country. So what is the point of that? First, you must understand that we have different languages. Secondly, you must honor and you must remember to give respect to those languages that we have, because that is basically the first thing that you know and you must remember in order for you to understand it. Okay? That's why you must be careful of of how you use and how it pronounce the words. Okay? Did you screenshot the some of the parts of the video lesson to you? You can share that screen record to your classmates if you want, okay? So I hope that everybody has a screenshot or screenplay so that you may able to have your the viewer on this lesson. What are the importance of varieties and registers of spoken and written language? Okay, so please look at this video.
Varieties and registers of spoken and written language. So before we start with the report, alamin po muna natin why is it important for us this skill. It is because we have to engage with this, which is the international and transnational communication. Ano nga ba ang kahalagahan ng communication o yung process na ito? According to Davis and Yagmore, communication has become so fluid and boundless. This is due to increasing effects and influences of globalization. Alam naman natin ngayon na dahil tayo ay napakamoderno and we are very innovative in terms of technology, so ang nangyayari po sa communication is instead of being static and a one-way or two-way dialogue, yung communication is naging fluid. So when we say fluid, it is very dynamic. It changes almost every day. So napakahalaga po sa atin dahil napakabilis magbago ng communication process. It is vital for us tayong mga speaker na maging flexible din and fluid when it comes to communication. Hence, for introduction and in strengthening up multimodal and multicultural tasks among learners is necessary. Napakahalaga po na maging multiculturalist ang bawat isa. So, base dito, i-discuss natin kung ano nga ba yung intercultural or cultural competence. Ano nga ba yung cultural competence? This is the use of an appropriate language, which is a way of conforming to another culture. So, alam natin yung katanggap-tanggap na pananalita o mga salita on a particular language in a particular culture, and when we have that ability, we have the what we call cultural competence. Napakahalaga po ng pagkakaroon natin ng cultural competence, especially as a college students in the real world. Syempre, hindi lang naman mga Pinoy ang makakasalamuha natin, lalo na sa future. So, people of different culture, different socio-economic statuses, and even people of different gender, lalo na po ngayon na we are encountering the members of the LGBTQIA+, which is accepted in our society. So do we really have to know the language of that particular culture for us to have the cultural competence? You may have assumed that when you learn the language of others, you also learn their culture, but this is not always the case. Hindi porke alam na natin yung language, we somehow know their culture. Is alam na natin lahat about the culture or kilala na natin sila kaagad. That's why you can learn a lot of cultural features, but it does not necessarily teach you sensitivity and awareness, or even how to behave in certain situations. You may know their language kung may alaman tayong kaunting dialect nila, does not mean na marunong ka ng makipag-communicate sa kanila. Bakit? Bakit nga ba? Because you cannot learn sensitivity and awareness in an instance. So itong report namin na ito ay makakatulong na ma-develop ang ating sensitivity and awareness to different culture. Language varieties.
Why overpay when Lazada has up to 90% off branded deals? Shop guilt-free at Lazada's 9/9 sale.
What is a variety? A variety refers to any variant of a language which can be sufficiently delimited from one another o pagkakaiba in terms of social, historical, spatial, or a combination of this. Sa social, tignan natin yung variety in social institution. Here in our society, we have the church, the school, family, businesses, and government. So we deal with different settings to different people. In terms of our age, social economic statuses, we vary from one person to another. Like sa social class, merong mahirap and may mayaman. Next is historical. So we have historical factor that refers to the variety. We have timeline from past, present, and future. Halimbawa nito is yung kung paano tayo makipag-usap ngayon ay may influence mula sa mga nangyari sa past natin, kagaya na lang nung pag-adapt natin ng English language na galing sa influence ng American occupation. The contributions of the Americans being the first teacher or the English teacher in the Philippines. Yung way how we pattern and the way of the structures. Last is the spatial. It is where we looking of the demographic profile here in the Philippines or even outside the countries. Varieties of language. Number 1 natin is yung Pidgin. It's a new language which develops in situations where speakers of different languages need to communicate but do not share a common language. A lexifier is particular language where the vocabulary of a pidgin comes from. For example, we have the Nigerian pidgin and the Bislama, which is the spoken in Vanuatu. So ano nga ba yung pidgin? Base nga sa meaning nito, situations where speakers of different language need to communicate but do not share a common languages. In other words, these two speakers do not share the same languages. There are many combinations of words na ibinabahagi nila sa oras lamang kung saan kailangan, depende sa mga taong kausap. At doon nagsimula yung pidgin. So, lexifier refers to the words that they are using as the vocabulary as part of their communication. The pidgin is the code that is distinct to individuals, but because they need to communicate to one another, they'll be using their words in their languages in order to use that, and once they understand and it passed through to the next generation, it becomes the language of the community, then it evolves to become Creole. So yung Creole is a pidgin that becomes the first language of the children and the mother tongue of a community. Example for this is are the Gala and Patwa, which is the Jamaican Creole. But in our case, here in the Philippines, meron tayong Spanish Creole, which is the Chavacano. Kaya bago ito ay kailangan lamang ng communication ng dalawang magkakaiba o higit pang mga wika. And there was a mixture. And once na yung pagsasama-sama na iyon ay na solidified and used to pass through from one generation, iyon ay magiging Creole. It is a practice para mapanatili and mamotivate na talagang gamitin ang wikang Chavacano para magkaroon ng isang wika, distinct na wika. A distinct na pagkakakilanlan ng Pilipinas, though sinasabi nila na kapareha daw ito ng lengguwahe ng Pilipinas, but it doesn't mean na kung influence ito ng mga Espanyol ay hindi na rin ito kabilang sa Pilipinas. It belongs as one of the major languages in the Philippines na ginagamit o sinasalita ng mga tao, mostly sa southmost part ng Philippines. Third is the regional dialect. One place from another place having the different dialects. So now, how do we know that there is a dialect? Can we call a dialect a language? No, we cannot call a dialect a language, and we cannot also call a language as a dialect. Ito ay dahil ang dialect ay isa sa mga variants ng language. Dialects refers to the distinct position of the accent, vocabulary, and even some grammar's vocabulary. For example, in Cebu City, they're speaking Bisaya and Cebuano. Tulad ng nakikita natin sa kanila, meron silang distinct way kung paano sila nagsasalita ng Bisaya or Cebuano. That is what they call regional dialect. Same true as a Chabacano. There are also a varieties of Chabacano. So regional dialect is not a distinct language, but a variety of a language spoken in a particular area of a country. Fourth is the minority dialect. Minority dialect is a variety used as a marker of identity, usually alongside a standard variety by the members of a particular minority ethnic group. In the foreign languages, we have the African American, Vernacular English in the USA, London Jamaican in Britain, and Aboriginal English in Australia. So dito, this is more on the tribal language. Tribal language are known to be the minority dialect because there is no dominance of other languages in their language or in their dialect, so basically it is still considered to be minority. Last is indigenized varieties. These are spoken mainly as second languages in ex-colonies with multilingual populations. Example of this is Singapore. Spoken in Singapore is English, so it is called Singlish. So here in the Philippines, we speak Philippine English, so the influenced by those are the influences made from the English language. So nung nasakop tayo ng mga Americans, though maraming mananakop ang nagpunta noon dito sa Pilipinas, ngunit mas nangibabaw yung American language. Yun lamang yung nanatili dito sa atin. So we speak Philippine English, a combination of the distinct language of a Filipino word lexifier that is used in English.
Language register. What is register? According to Nordquist, back in 2018, a register is defined as the way a speaker uses language differently in different circumstances. So ito yung paggamit ni speaker ng different kinds of language sa iba't ibang klase rin ng pagkakataon. So it can be verbal, written, or sign language. Determined by factors as social occasion, context, purpose, and audience. Ito yung nilalaman ng message, yung dahilan ng mensahe. And then determine the vocabulary, structure, and some grammar in one's writing and even in one's oral discourse. So, ito yung kung paano mo ibuin yung mensahe mo. 5 distinct registers. A frozen register. It refers to historic language or communication that is intended to remain uncharged like a constitution or a prayer. So, ito daw yung frozen register, yung klase ng pakikipag-usap na hindi nababago. Like, sabi nga dyan, prayer. Si Bible. Diba? Hindi naman kasi siya nagbabago kahit mula pa nung kauna-unahan and up to the present time, walang nabago sa kanya. And then, second is the formal register. Is used in professional, academic, or legal setting where communication is expected to be respectful, uninterrupted, and distinct. Slang is never used and constructions are rare. So, pag sinabi natin formal register, ito daw yung madalas na ginagamit sa professional. Pagka nagpa-present ka ng projects mo in companies or academic sa school, di ba? Nagkakaroon tayo ng defend ng thesis. It's the kind of language na ginagamit natin. Sabi nga dyan, respectful, uninterrupted. So, respectful pa rin tayo kahit na hirap na tayo sa pagsasalita. It still have to sound respectful and uninterrupted. So, they will listen and at the end of the presentation, saka lang magkakaroon ng questions. That's the formal register. And then the third is the consultative register. Is used in conversation when they are speaking with someone who has specialized knowledge or who is offering advice. Tone is often respectful, but may be more casual if the relationship is long-standing or friendly. Consult. Do you consult? So, you offer advice. Usually from teacher-student, ayan, one-on-one, ni professor kay student is respectful, and then even the response of the student back to the professor is also respectful. And then fourth is the casual register. Is used when they are with friends, close acquaintances, and co-workers and families. So, ito na yung casual. Pag nakikipag-usap tayo, yung may islang na. And then the fifth is the intimate register. Is reserved for special occasions, usually between only two people and often in private. So, it's the kind of register na mother-daughter, or family, or father and son, lovers, dito pumapasok yun. Yung parang kahit anong klaseng usapan is okay lang. Language registers. Formal language register is more appropriate for professional writing and letters to a boss or a stranger. Is impersonal, meaning it is not written for a specific person and without emotion. So, formal language register daw, sabi dyan, is appropriate for professional writing. Professional writing, everything about work. And especially, formal din siya in a way na may respect pa din na nakalakip dun sa words and sa grammar ng isinulat mo. Is impersonal, so meaning nga na walang personal feelings na hindi ka galit, it has to be professional. Then rules in formal writing. Ayan, may rules daw para daw sa formal writing. Do not use constructions. Cannot instead of can't. Have not instead of haven't. And is not instead of isn't. So, when you write daw a formal writing, kailangan buo, as in malinaw. Verbal kasi, when you say you can't, mas madaling ipaintindi. Unlike in writing, a simple comma, alam mo yun, malaki ng impact niya dun sa kabuuan ng letter. And then, next rule is spell out numbers less than 100. So, instead of writing number 9, you spell it N-I-N-E. Tulad niyan, 19, 78, 72, and 6. So, any number na hindi aabot ng 100 must be in letters. Okay? Or if you want to be more clear, pwede mong pagkasulat mo ng word, on the side, you put an open and close parentheses. Inside is the numeral writing niya. And then third is, write in third person point of view. Avoid using the following: I, we, you, and of course, the informal of you, as in the letter U. So, sabi in third person's point of view. He, she, them, their, ayan. And then the next rule is, avoid using too much passive verbs. Passive, bone was eaten by the dog. And then the active term is, the dog ate the bone. So, it has to be short but clear. Next is, avoid using slang, idioms, exaggeration, or hyperboles and cliches. Awesome! Cool! Okay, check it out. It's very casual. So when you write a formal letter, it shouldn't include these words. And the next is, avoid abbreviations or acronyms. Ayan, marami kasing when we say acronyms kasi, marami siyang pwedeng maging another meaning. Especially in the modern times, ang daming abbreviations na lumalabas. So, when you're going to do a formal writing, it has to be whole. Like this one, NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Department of Education instead of DepEd. Influenza instead of flu. And next, do not start sentences with words like, and, so, but also. Here are some good transition words and phrases to use in formal writing. Nevertheless, additionally, instead of also, however, instead of but, as a result of. Okay? Yung like, so, but, and also is also part of informal writing kasi. So, to make it sound more formal, we can use the words nevertheless, additionally, however, and as a result of. Next rule is always write incomplete sentences. So, as mentioned earlier, kailangan buo siya. Write longer, more complex sentences. So, para mas ma-elaborate mo. Actually, kailangan mo siyang ma-elaborate para hindi ma-misunderstood ng reader is that you have to write longer, more complex sentences. Okay? And then language registers, again. Second language register is informal language register. So, from the word itself, informal, almost kabaliktaran siya ng everything nung nauna. Okay? Is conversational and appropriate when writing to friends and people you know very well. Yung informal language register is parang kakilala mo, parang casual. Next is neutral language register. It is not necessarily formal or informal. So, medyo dun ka lang sa gitna, no? It's casual to deliver facts. So, it's more like you just stated some facts. Pero hindi siya formal at hindi siya informal.
Attitudinal change through the use of language. So that this is why the key of having the intercultural competence is attitudinal change. Kailangan tayong magkaroon ng attitudinal change through the use of language. Dito pumapasok yung varieties and registers ng spoken and written language. Kailangan alam natin kung ano nga ba yung characteristics ng spoken language versus written language. So how do we really differentiate these two forms of language? These are two main factors that distinguish spoken from written language. First is the actual situation or context. The second one is the purpose of communication. So again, it differs from the context and the purpose of the communication.
Okay, next is characteristics of spoken language. Spoken language is mostly maintained in a form of a dialogue. So, parang ganito, nakikipag-usap. Spoken language utilizes human voice and all kinds of gestures. So, not because we speak, puro boses lang yung maririnig mo. When we speak, syempre, nandiyan yung gestures natin, yung kamay na hindi mapakali. Meron naman yung mga buong katawan na nag-shake. And then, it presupposes the presence of an interlocutor. Yung sinabing interlocutor is may engagement yung kausap mo. And the next is spoken language is spontaneous but momentarily. So, spontaneous parang malaki yung impact niya pero hindi siya lagi. Siyempre, sino bang kaya magsalita ng 24/7? It widely uses intensifying words. So, it widely uses intensifying words. So, parang may diin, may feelings, strong yung words. Kasi nga, sinasabi mo siya. Characterized by the insertion of fill-ups. Ayan na. Even sa reporting, hindi siya mawawala. Well, so, and ano tayo masabi? Ganun tayo. And ganun siya. It's a characteristic of spoken language. Okay, varieties of spoken language. When we say interactional, una dyan, interactional. social function. So, hindi siya mawawala. Pag nagkaroon tayo ng social function, whether it's gathering or online meeting, hindi pwedeng hindi ka mag-interact. Next is referential language, object or abstract concept. So, ito naman yung referential is from the word reference. Hindi yung word na kailangan niyang sabihin, yung nasasabi niya. So, nahihirapan siyang intindihin ng tao. So, nagre-refer siya sa certain something para makuha ng kausap niya yung gusto niyang sabihin. Then, expressive language, judgments or feelings. From the word itself, expressive. So, medyo strong yung pagsasalita mo. May diin, kung saan dapat lagyan ng diin. Expressive. Pag galit ka, you shout. When you're happy, kulang na lang lahat ng salitang sabihin mo, pakanta. Next is the transactional, driven by needs and wants. So, transaction, ibig sabihin, sabi nga dyan, driven by needs and wants. So, nakipag-usap ka to gain something. And then, fatigue is small plain talk. As simple as, usually nakukuha siya sa along lost friend. Like, uy, kamusta? And then, wala na. So, yun yung varieties of spoken language.
So the last part is the characteristics of written language. Alamin po natin dito kung ano-ano nga ba yung mga characteristics or traits ng written language. First one is it presupposes the absence of interlocutor. So kung sa spoken is may presence, sa written naman may absence ng interlocutor o magko-communicate. Why? Dahil written na siya, nakasulat na, so the interlocutor don't need to be physically present para mag-communicate sa gusto niyang sabihin or sabihin. Characteristics is it is maintained in the form of monologue. So, bakit nga ba? Kasi parang nakikipag-usap lang sa'yo yung sinulat mo like sa paper. It is monologue. Nakikipag-communicate sa'yo yung sinulat mo. You are just nearly reading it at hindi siya necessarily na may kausap ka kaya monologue yung tawag. Next, it is more carefully organized and more explanatory. Bakit nga ba siya dapat carefully organized and more explanatory? So, halimbawa nito is yung module. If you're going to look at the module, written language po ang ginamit. So, bakit nga ba carefully organized? Because it is designed para maintindihan at nagbabasa yung module. Kasi nga, wala yung presence ng interlocutor. It is meant na basahin at maintindihan kahit walang nagtuturo. That's why you should be careful in organizing. Kailangan step by step and may instructions. Kailangan ina-explain every details. And yung iba rin naman, nagbibigay pa ng mga examples every questions para mas lalo nilang maintindihan. It is able to live forever with the idea it expresses. So as long as you give a memory bank or it is stored, kung sinulat mo yan, it stays forever. I-compare natin siya sa spoken language. Sa spoken language, it is spontaneous but momentary. Pag natapos na natin bigkasin yung mga salita, nawawala siya, it vanishes. Wala nang physical evidence, wala nang physical record. But in written language, it is able to live forever kasi meron tayong record. Next, the writer has an opportunity to correct and improve it. When we are writing, andyan yung mostly gumagamit tayo ng Grammarly. And andyan yung autocorrect sa Microsoft Word na pwede nating gamitin. So, pwede rin nating i-correct yung mga gusto nating sabihin. But when we are talking, when we are engaged in spoken language, madalas nakakapagsalita tayo ng hindi tama or masasakit na salita. Hindi na natin siya mababago, hindi na mabubura. So, mas makakorek natin kapag tayo ay nagsusulat, kapag written language yung ginamit natin. So, last characteristic is it bears a greater volume of responsibility than its counterpart. So, mas malaki yung responsibilidad mo sa written language compare sa spoken language. So, kanina binanggit natin na dapat careful tayo in organizing dahil kailangan magets ng mga reader natin yung gusto nating sabihin or iparating. At the same time, kailangan it is culture appropriate and kailangan maintindihan nila yung message mo kasi wala ka. You are not physically present to explain yung mga gusto mong sabihin. That's why kailangan maayos yung pagsusulat mo.
And that is all for our report in varieties and registers of spoken and written language.
So, as you heard, that there are different varieties according to its meaning, and the varieties are in a different usage. Okay, so you must remember that we have different varieties of language, okay, and also the registers. You must remember that. Do you have any question about our topic today? Do you have any question of the topic today?
Before we start,
day, everyone. Our lesson for today
A pleasant morning, my dear students. Welcome back to the contemporary world. How are you today? I hope you're having a great day. This time, before we proceed in our discussion, let's be inspired and motivated. However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. Believe in yourself, because greatness is within you. It's growing. You are born to
Modern question of world governance with governing or with obligations and privileges.
This definition can be taken to organization these institutions of global government along with other UN offices and bodies.
of human interaction. The modern world system is structured politically as an interstate system, a system of competing and allied states. Political scientists commonly call this the international system, and it is the main focus of the field of international relations. Today, my dear students, we will talk about contemporary global governance as part of the structures of globalization. We have three learning outcomes to achieve by the end of and last. Worldwide effort of international organization and
Hindi mawari kung mainit na pinag-uusapan ngayon kung paano tayo halos lunurin na ng mga pagbaha at marami pa nga ang nagka-leptospirosis. Gayong hindi lang pala bilyones kundi trilyones ang napunta spirosis, sir. Bilyones na nakalaan para billion pesos na budget.
Yes. Please open your cameras for our last picture taking for this morning. Please review on our video lesson today. On Wednesday is our quiz. Please open your cameras for our last picture taking. You are 38 now. A while ago, you are 41. Bahala sila dyan. Basta pag absent, absent. Makikita naman yan dito. I hope that you screenshot or you jot down notes some of the lessons that we had this morning. How about the others? Please open your cameras. Please review on our video lesson this morning. On Wednesday is our quiz before you take the prelim. When is the prelim exam? Did you know when? Okay. Please open your cameras. Look at your cameras now. Yung iba po, do I need to mention you? In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you very much. Any question? Do you have any question? Clarification? Do you have any question, clarification? Okay, sige po. Thank you very much. And see you on Wednesday for our quiz. Goodbye.